The biggest takeaways from today's debate are that Mark Warner and Ed Gillespie aren't right for Virginia voters. They're not willing to stand up for the people. On economics, that was the first several questions of the debate. Nobody talked about the big ticket items, like the $17 trillion debt, like the entitlement reform that we need, the tax reform, and the regulatory reform that we need. The way we're going to jumpstart this economy and jumpstart job growth is through open and competitive markets. On healthcare, that was another 10 to 20 minutes of the debate, and nobody talked about the real problem, which is the cost increases of healthcare that we've been seeing for decades and that we're going to continue seeing. I'm the only person who talked in my campaign last year. I'm the only candidate talking this year about deregulation, getting the federal government out of the business of telling what doctors can and can't do, what insurance companies can and can't do. And the Affordable Care Act was, in many cases, a sellout to the big pharmaceutical and insurance industries, and we have to get away from that. I've been talking about freeing up nurses through expanded scope of practice authority, increasing the number of doctors who we graduate from medical schools, increasing the number we license, reforming the licensing process and accreditation process. Those are the things that are going to increase the number of healthcare professionals we have that will allow us to put affordable care into communities across the country. The drug war. When the question is about immigration, how can you not talk about American policies that have destroyed civil society in many of the countries of Latin America and the resulting flood of immigrants to the United States fleeing those failed states? How can you not talk about the million-dollar, billion-dollar enterprises, the illegal cartels that are creating the violence in those states and are spending millions upon millions of dollars for the sole purpose of finding holes in our border security? Look at how long the debate lasted on foreign policy when the two candidates actually don't disagree all that much. It was a huge loss for Virginia voters because I could have been on stage talking about a much different vision for American foreign policy, a vision that is much more consonant with Virginia voters and American taxpayers. Look at the surveillance issue, which we didn't even talk about. This is an issue where Mark Warner, at every opportunity to vote for greater protection of civil liberties and against the surveillance state, went the opposite direction and voted for the Patriot Act reauthorization and for the reauthorization of the FISA courts. What it really comes down to is the fact that Republicans and Democrats aren't that different. There's too much cronyism in both the Republican and Democratic parties. Ed Gillespie says that Mark Warner voted 97% with Barack Obama, and Mark Warner's reply was to tie Ed Gillespie with George Bush. Well, they're both right. Both Bush and Obama, Ed Gillespie and Mark Warner, stand for the status quo. And what we need is to vote against the status quo, vote against politics as usual, vote against cronyism. And I'm the only candidate who can offer that, and I'm the only candidate who could have been on this stage today to call out the other two about their hypocrisy and their bad policies. So over the course of the next few weeks, I'm going to release more videos going into the real substance of these issues, and I'm going to show Virginia voters that there's a better alternative. And so I invite all Virginia voters to follow my campaign, follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and follow my YouTube channel. And they're going to see a much greater discussion, a much more valuable discussion of the issues that matter, and they're going to find that they have someone better to vote for.